Okay, today, September 24th, month is ending. So probably, yeah, this is the last call before the month end, then the next call will be on starting of October month. Right, so we'll also look at monthly chart this time. So starting with daily, now this pattern, very simple pattern, like this pattern has nothing. When it took off from here, we wanted it to follow this pattern. Now what happened is the pattern was like that, only the timing wise it delayed because the move. When it makes a down move, then it delays the breakout or upside move. So that's what happened. Now at this stage, as you know, everybody is bearish, and there is reason to be bearish. Okay, so and when I say bottom, of course, with the awareness that we have to monitor this level, and if a situation changes, then we have to change our stand. But it is about taking side, a firm side, right? With a condition, definitely. So we are not going to say we don't know. We want to say it is likely to go up, but if anything changes, will reflect the change. But at this moment, we are saying the move is on the upside, and this is a potential pattern. Okay, so this on a one day, it's simple. This is just illustration that the price is likely to continue moving up. Spend some time in this cluster zone. If this is a heavy resistance zone, as you could see, so there it's going to spend some time in. If I can put everything in this box like this, maybe an orange box. That's what we use for resistance. So this is going to be heavy resistance zone. Yeah, and of course, like this is first level, and then of the second is this one, and so on. It has to come across a lot of resistance along the way. This is just a beginning. Okay, but yeah, I mean, direction wise, we are sticking this particular pattern. Um, so once it breaks about this, let's say orange box, then it is going to face resistance here for sure, a big one, 21K plus 21K, 22K kind of a level, this zone. And once this is also broken about, then I think the wall that was the point of rejection is going to play the final role, in my opinion. When I say final role, means once it breaks above, I'm a little worried about downside move. Then we are talking really on the upside. But technically speaking, it has to break about 27K, and there is one more level, which is 33K, 34K level. These are the two next level after this wall, around 24K to 25K, right? So right now we are here, so that's why we're not talking much about this. We don't talk about extreme levels to start with, but this is just a quick recap that will have the final confirmation, technically speaking, about 34K. That 32K to 34K range, you may say, when it approaches near that level, I'll refine this level and try to be more accurate as possible. Right. So as of now, my least requirement is to pass this level, which is 23K. And in between there's going to be resistance. But if it can sit here around 23K, I'll be very happy. Then whatever I said, then I would say then the probability of breaking above will go up significantly. At this moment, this is like wait and watch and delicate moment for sure, right? Nobody can say for sure that it is going to go up. So when I say this is a bottom, it's taking a side with a condition, as I said. It's not that we know the future. The pattern wise, this is bearish. Why? Because it is sitting here, not somewhere higher. Okay. However, just to share, the BTC has gone down or gone up not because of its fundamental. Okay, it has gone up or down because of various other data points. Now those data points need to be known to the analyst, and my focus was those data points. What I did was I analyzed those data points and I see they are topping out. The factors which are inversely affecting are topping out. Now that top out doesn't happen necessarily like one, it's like, it's not like on off switch that thing tops out and this thing, you know, bottoms out. So it doesn't work like that. Sometimes it overlaps kind of, it's like, yeah, it overlaps. Sometimes like a moon rises from one end and sun is setting on other side. So it's like that. So not necessarily one or on another. So right now, those factors I see top on. So that's why I came up with this stand. Otherwise, if I just look at this one, it is a bit earlier, and as I would say, yeah, it is a bit earlier. So if the majority of the people still are skeptic about, there's nothing wrong about it, because if you just look at the chart, then it is not there. But I don't look at the BTC chart alone. I look at the drivers which drive BTC price, because I always believe that the BTC is not just alone or isolated. It is driven by other factors. So what I do is I go and chart other factors, okay, and then put together. So it's not like somebody will say, oh, it's because of dollar index, it's about NASDAQ or something else. um Things are not that easy. We have to put together. There are string attached, so it's a fine balance in the whole ecosystem. If you look at the capital market, one thing moves up, another thing goes down. If that goes down, something else moves up, and so on. So it's like a giant machine, if you can imagine, like a multiple cog wheels, and one turns in one way, another turns in because of in the same direction or opposite direction, like that. So that kind of machinery, and you have to understand the dependency. So if you imagine multiple cogwheels, and one turns and another turns and follows and another follows, but in a reverse direction. So it's like that. So it's a giant machine. We have to identify those cogwheels. We have to understand that what all wheels are directly connected, which are indirectly connected, and whether it's in the same direction or opposite direction. And that kind of work I do behind the scene. And that work led me think that this is a potential bottom here. Okay, so I just wanted to cover that part as well. Of course, I cannot explain what all things I've seen and how I seen and how I analyze, because that I would keep it with me for all good reasons. Now, but yeah, I mean, we are trying to be a step ahead. As I always say, people will panic here. At least, so this particular move uh, was amazing. And then people were panic even again here after the FOMC meeting. So I highlight that FOMC meeting is super important in last week's call, and it did go down, but it bounced up. And before it bounced, we called out that we don't have to worry. We'll be watchful, but we don't have to worry. We don't need to assume that it's going to break down. And that's what happened. Now, this has moved further away from it. And as I mentioned, it has to move higher for us to be more relaxed. And this still we have to be monitored. I mean, we should be monitoring and being watchful, but there's no immediate risk. There is no threat. And if there is, I'll update you. Okay, so there's no need to assume things unless you want to. So that's the thing. So we'll see. We called out, right? So I'm under pressure. As I mentioned before this recording, but that's the fun part. That's the fun part. Hope people will recognize it if it turns out to be good, and then it will make a difference. We have done it in past as well. So I hope this time also we are able to do. But anyways, there won't be any surprise for sure. So this is the daily. So let's move up on our weekly time frame and look at Bitstamp. That's our weekly. Okay. So from this pattern point of view, I would say this is in transition. Week hasn't ended yet. This is in transition. So this red line, if I may adjust a bit uh, to connect this one. So it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Yeah, it's on edge for sure. So on weekly has to be improved. As you could see, weekly is still red. It would be good if it turns green, and it would be wonderful if it breaks above last week's high, which is 23K, which I mentioned on a daily time frame. If it can sit here, then life will be much more easier. I mean, trading, not life. Life has to be good anyways. So weekly, I think I have nothing more to add, to be honest, because yeah, I would like to see it. I would like to see it on 23K ideally. Uh, Maybe next week or after that. But yeah, even if it turns green, it's good enough. So I think I'm not going to talk much about weekly. There's no reason to repeat things which was covered in last week. So, because there's no major changes you could see. Highlight the sorry. Um, Another thing is, yeah, on a monthly. This is last week. Now this was a complete reset last. So June was like we had a bounce, and then July complete reset of, and August is has reached a threatening level because this low was very close to the June low, right? So it was scary. So July was good. August complete reset. September is kind of striking some kind of balance, more like a survival mode. I think that's the right phrase to use. This is more like a survival mode. So looking at the candle, nobody will say this is bullish, and I won't say that from a chart point of view. It is more near. I mean, it's near to the June low, which is super critical. This June low is so critical, which I mentioned in my prior call, is if this is this particular low is with respect to the wave that we see started from here, from February 2019. Okay, this particular drop is just noise. Some people measure the bull move from here. I don't think this is the right way, but that's my opinion. The bull move started, means bull trend started from here. This was the first leg, and then one down leg, and then it was supposed to go up, but then this went down because of the COVID. So this is more like a forced move, not something which was planned in the game. Okay, nobody anticipated that. So, and that is the reason why it was quick. And so if you ignore this candle, this is more like a one drop and then continuation with a second leg. So this bull trend had two legs. First one, then a drawdown, second one, and this is third one. So the fourth one is going to be big one, right? Let me do one thing. It's noisy, so yeah. So this is let's draw this one. Okay, so this is first move. This is second. I'll just highlight the closing. This is third. I mean the second leg, and this is the touch, and then fourth one. Okay. This is not the height. I don't think this is the target. This arrow is for this it could go up to 250K, 150, or it could be 300, whatever. We don't know yet, right? We'll be able to figure it out. So this height is not about the target, but more about direction and the pattern that we're seeing. So this is a completely different point of view that you might see publicly. Um, what I'm seeing here is people think that this bull run is over here. No, this is retracement of this particular leg. Okay, so it's very interesting. The bull trend started here. Um, Again, this is my definition. Like for example, let me go back. This let's look at this one. Now, this bull run, particular bull run, which started from, let's say this one, 2015, and it ended here, right? In this bull run, there was no retracement until this huge downside move. And each bull run is different, but this bull run has two segment, first one and then second one. And I think this is continuation. uh, the one way to put is, for me, I would club everything into one wave in this fashion. So maybe I'll draw another one with a maybe different color. So let's say we started from here. This is first leg, this is second leg. I'll just connect this one. This is third leg, and so on, like this. This is also a valid representation. And you can go back even in past and say, okay, this is like first one, second, then the second one, and then this is third one. So how it doesn't matter how you measure it or count it, because there's no formula for it, right? Elliott wave count in one way, and there are so many ways you can count. But I'm not trying Elliott wave. I don't do that for various reasons. I learned that, but I don't do it. But this is just to illustrate. I think this is the most important trend line. That's why this level is so important. There are the few factors that you would like to notice is, probably in this chart you would see, on the BLX you would see. Uh, so what happened is, very important point is, when it retraced, this retracement was far from, let me draw a horizontal line for you to visualize. Something I want to highlight, that the big picture about this overall wave, very simple thing that I'm going to highlight. I'm going to highlight all the tops. Okay, usually I highlight this one. Now, this was little rejection and a breakout and so on. Now, what you would like to see here is this distance. So very importantly, so this was this was the top, this was the bottom, right? And this was the distance. This was the top, this is the bottom, this was the distance, and this was the top, and this is the bottom, let's say, for now. Okay. And you see that it has touched. What I'm saying is, there was a big gap, then a smaller gap, and now this time it touched. So what you're seeing effectively is, there's this pattern was highlighted a year ago, at least 9 months, no, a year ago. This is what is happening, that this but whole entire wave is actually slowing down. Now, it is not necessarily bearish. It simply means, this is what happens when the asset is young. It is it makes new vertical move, and then it kind of settles down. So what you're going to see in future is, we're not going to see BTC making huge move, and that's a normal thing. Many times the maximalists highlight that stock X moved by this percentage in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and Bitcoin moves by this. They are so naive that they don't understand that whenever there is new asset, it tends to go up, and especially crypto is speculative. So it is not a right comparison with a stock, which is highly regulated and there are controls. So people are naive and just try to, blind, I would say influence people in a wrong direction. Um, if they compare now, you will see how much percentage gain Bitcoin has made. So this was huge. Then of course this is huge, but what you're seeing here is the height of this wave is reducing each time. So it is possible that, let's say if it moves here, then the next one will touch this one, 100K, 120K, let's say, and then it moves up slowly, not necessarily it will continue moving up like this. So there could be a saturation point where it will stagnate, of course, like any other asset, and unless it is in use. So if BTC is not going to be used, it is going to be flattened by some point in time, as far as price is concerned. That's my, yeah. But if it starts being in use, then it's a different thing. But it is right now, it is more like a status symbol rather than actual utility. Nobody is using Bitcoin in reality, as you know, right? Very high fee, very low scale. Lightning network is not successful and still being worked for last 8 years or so, 6 years maybe at least, I think, as far as I know, including the design of that, 6 years. There's very little work is being, little usage in terms of the number of transactions being exchanged. So it might kick in, but we don't know yet. Okay, so anyway, so as far as Bitcoin price is concerned, I personally, Bitcoin is being analyzed as because it's a guide. Bitcoin is not, in my point of view, going to earn a huge amount of money compared to any other smart contract platform. Now, smart contract platform, we need to be careful. Not financial advice, but we have seen Luna, and there are other small can also. The risk of losing value is higher. So it's a trade-off with the Bitcoin, higher security, more institutions backup, and its trend record tells that more secure, and comparatively speaking more secure and compared to other coins. But in terms of price gain, it is likely to be the least over time because of the reason I mentioned. So it's saturating. So now coming back to the structure, if so it has touched this. So what you're seeing here is, if it has touched and if it breaks down, then this correction is not just correction for this particular wave. I hope you're getting it. So this correction was for this wave. This particular correction was for this particular wave. This correction was for this particular wave, right? And this correction is for this particular wave. So we had 1, 2, 3, and 4 bull trend. The way they went up is different. For example, this is more like a straight line, and here there were like 2, 3 segments, as you could see, first one, second one, and third one, and the fourth one, right? And this is more like a continuous, though lower time frame you see some correction, but on a higher time frame like monthly, it's like a continuous one big arch. And here it's broken up into 2, right? So we had this is like a near vertical 4 segment, no continuous, and 2 segment. So there is no theory that how many legs it would have as part of the bull run. There's no theory, and every time it's different. So I know we should not get into that kind of that's why I don't go into Elliott wave and all that 4 and 2 and all those things. Every time it's different. And if you the okay, I don't want to go into and comment on someone's technique. That's not the right way to do, but that was a quick comment that everybody has a different interpretation, and when there's different interpretation, it's not a formula. Formula is where there is no second interpretation. Means, let's say E equals mc square. It's one formula. Or if you want to go to the moon, the formula that you use for gravity is common universally. So if there are two answers, that means your formula doesn't make sense. That so if the any technique that you use, if the technique has two outcomes, possible outcomes, that means it's open for interpretation. That means that technique is not foolproof. That's my take. Okay, any technique that you use, it has to come up with the same answer for different analysts. In that case only, you can say that technique is consistent. Technique can be wrong, but at least consistent. Um, so if you and I do analysis, and if our answers are different for the same technique, that means the technique is not foolproof. Okay, so there are two things. Technique can be wrong, that's fine, but the technique, I mean, sometimes it can turn wrong, right? But it should not give different answer. That's why I don't rely on those kind of counting. That's my take. Yeah, so I think you got something new in this call today, right? Something different, probably. Now, this is super critical for that reason, because this correction is for this wave, and if this goes down, then we are talking about a correction for the whole entire wave. In that case, don't be surprised if it touches 6K. Forget about 10K, it could go, and I'm not extremist. There are levels in between, like 15K, 13K, and a 6K, and in a worst case it could go even below. But 6K is also possible. Right now we are not saying it's probable, but since we are talking monthly time frame, and since it is here, I'm talking about, when I talk about daily and weekly, I'm not talking about that, because it's a different time frame. But when we talk about monthly, um, this is for you to know. And if this reverses, we are talking about 100K plus. But as I said, not financial advice. There's nothing. Bitcoin is just for reference. There's not huge amount of money. Initially, maybe, yeah. So I don't think anyone would be interested in Bitcoin trading later on, once it gets out of this mess. Purely from percentage gain point of view, people would find very slow. But those who are conservative, this is the best asset in a way, because then it is better than stock market, and it is acting like a stock market, as you know. And last 1 week, it is showing strength. So, for an example, compared to index last week or two, it is holding up pretty well, right? So stock index, if you US stock index, if you see, it is weaker than Bitcoin. It's different. In month of June, it was stronger and Bitcoin was a little weaker. But here, it's Bitcoin is stronger and Nasdaq is weaker. So again, people sometimes try to relate the move of Bitcoin with one like stock index. It doesn't happen every day. You have to look for the trend. You cannot just look for the each and every price movement. So that's another mistake some of the newbies do. That somebody told that it is following Nasdaq, so or S&P, whatever. They try to do that trade accordingly. It doesn't work like that, because it was so easy. Then nobody would lose, everybody would win. So it's not like that. Anyway, so I think we started with 1 day time frame. We looked at weekly, which was like no change, and I think on monthly now you have some more information on the trend, right? We like whole entire, and why this is super important. Why this is super important. So with that note, I end the Bitcoin session and then continue with the altcoins.